upon a time, on all of the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve day, old Ebenezer Scrooge sat busy in his money-counting house.
Outside in the cold, bleak weather, the city clocks had only just struck 3 in the afternoon, but it was quite dark already. Carriages and sleighs went by, the horses' bells jingling in the winter air, traders selling their wares.
Oblivious to all of this, Scrooge kept a careful eye upon his clerk, who sat at a dismal little desk copying letters. Scrooge had a small fire, but the clerk's smoky fire was even smaller, and it was almost out.
Meanwhile, outside, the fog and darkness thickened, and the cold became piercing. A young boy passed by outdoors, gaily singing.
Christmas! Bah! Humbug! Go away, you miserable little beggar! Take your Christmas carols elsewhere and get away from my door!
The child laughed, saying,
And to you, sir, a very Merry Christmas.
We live in a world of fools. Merry Christmas? If I had my way, everyone who said Merry Christmas would be charged a fee. Back to work.
The door opened and Scrooge's nephew entered.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle.
You too, nephew. Bah! Humbug!
Christmas a humbug, Uncle. You don't really mean that, I'm sure.
I do. Merry Christmas? What right have you to be merry? What reasons have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
Come, Uncle. What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be remorse? You're rich enough.
Nonsense, sir, nonsense.
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older but not an hour richer. Every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding.
Come, Uncle. There are many things from which I might have derived well, and by which I have not profited. I dare say Christmas among the rest. I have always thought of Christmas time as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts and to think of people below them as if they were really fellow passengers to the grave. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
The clock Cratchit involuntarily applauded.
Let me hear another sound from you, Cratchit, and you will keep your Christmas by losing your situation. Nephew, you are quite a powerful speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow.
Humbug, I will not.
It's family, why not?
Nephew, let me ask you a question. Why did you get married?
'Cause I fell in love with a wonderful woman.
Because you fell in love. Ha!
Uncle, I want nothing of you, and ask nothing of you. Come to our family party. We will all be so happy to see you.
Thanks, but no thanks. I say good afternoon, young sir.
I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrel. So a Merry Christmas and many more, Uncle.
There's the door, sir. Good afternoon.
His nephew shook his head and left. Letting Scrooge's nephew out, Cratchit had let two other people in.
They were portly gentlemen, and now stood with books and papers in their hands, and bowed to him. Said one of the gentlemen, referring to his list,
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley is dead. He died 7 years ago this very night, so good luck to him.
We are very sorry to hear that, sir. We have no doubt his liberality is well represented by you, his surviving partner.
At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and the destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessities. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Really, sir? Are there no prisons?
Oh dear, yes, sir. Sadly, there are plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are? I wish I could say they were not.
The treadmill and the polar are in full vigor, then?
Very busy, sir.
Why do you ask?
Oh, I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. I am very glad to hear it.
But, sir, I think you would agree they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitude. A few of us are thus endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing. Nothing, sir!
Oh, I understand. You wish to be anonymous.
No, sir. I wish to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I mentioned. They cost enough. And those who are badly off must go there.
There are also many that do not have a roof over their heads and must sleep outside in the frigid winter's night.
Many can't use the services you reference, and some, I am sad to say, will rather die.
If they would rather die, then they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. Besides, excuse me, I don't know that.
But you might know it, sir. It's commonly understood.
It is not my business! It's enough for a man to understand his own business and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, gentlemen, and a very prosperous new year to you!
Seeing clearly that it would be useless to pursue their point, the gentlemen quickly withdrew, shaking their heads.
The hour of closing had arrived. Bob Cratchit stood up and put on his hat and scarf.
You'll want off all day tomorrow, I suppose, it being Christmas Day.
If quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient. And it's not fair. If I was to stop £0.50 for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'll be bound. I pay a day's wages for no work.
Aye, sir. But it's only once a year, sir.
A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. But be sure to be here all the earlier the next morning, do you hear?
I promise. Good night, sir. Merry Christmas, sir.
Merry Christmas? Bah! Humbug! Humbug, I say!
Scrooge walked home to his chambers, which had once belonged to his dead business partner, Jacob Marley. They were a gloomy set of rooms in an old and dreary building where nobody lived but him.
The yard around the building was so dark that Scrooge had to grope with his hands. And he found the doorknob and put key to lock. To his great surprise, he saw not a knob, but instead the glowing face of Jacob Marley.
Scrooge had not given much thought to his former business partner, Jacob Marley, since his death 7 years earlier. Startled, Scrooge looked upon the face of Jacob Marley and stared as it returned again to just a knob.
Muttering to himself, Scrooge put his hand upon the key, turned it sturdily, walked in, and lit his candle.
Scrooge walked through his rooms to see that all was right. Nobody under the table, nobody under the sofa, and a small flickering fire in the grate was the only sound that he heard.
Quite satisfied, he put on his dressing gown and his nightcap, locked his sleeping room door, and sat down beside the fire. There was suddenly a loud chain rattle. He shuddered and said,
Humbug! It's all humbug!
As Scrooge sat there, he heard another clanking noise deep down below, as if some person were dragging a heavy chain in the cellar.
With a booming sound, he heard the cellar door fly open and steps coming up the stairs. He held his ears, still hearing them head straight towards his door.
It's humbug still!
Without a pause, a bedraggled ghost came through the heavy door, passed into the room before Scrooge's eyes, and groaned loudly.
A chain clasped around the ghost's middle held ledgers, deeds, cash boxes, keys, and padlocks made of iron and steel.
Who the devil are you?
Ask me who I am.
Who were you then?
Look and listen, Ebenezer. You know me very well. In life, I was your business partner, Jacob Marley.
Humbug, I tell you. Humbug, I say! Go away! Get lost!
Scrooge, it is I. Hear me now.
Well, you are dead, dreadful apparition. Why do you trouble me?
Man of the worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. But you are fettered. Tell me why.
I wear the chain I forged in life, Scrooge. Each time I make money more important than people, each time I make some poor family lose their home, each time I sent a poor person to prison, I forged another link in this heavy chain. In death, I must drag it after me. It is a dreadful burden, Scrooge, dreadful. Hear me, my time is nearly gone. I am here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate. Listen now, you old fool. You will be haunted this very evening by 3 spirits.
I think I'd rather not.
Expect the first one when the bell tolls one. Expect the second on the next night at the same hour. The third upon the next night when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. For your own sake, remember what has passed between us.
Goodbye. Bah! Humbug, sir! Humbug! What rot!
Scared, confused, and tired, Scrooge crept into bed and fell eventually into a fitful, disturbed sleep.
Scrooge suddenly awoke when he heard the bell sounding the hour of 1 o'clock.
Light flashed in the room, and the curtains were drawn aside. Scrooge found himself face to face with a glowing, unearthly female visitor.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am. Scrooge, look at me. I'm the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past. Bear touch my hand and come with me now.
As the ghost spoke these words, she clasped Scrooge's hand and pulled him through the wall and took flight in the dark, starless sky. Soon they stood upon an old country road near a house with fields on either side.
Good heavens! I know this place. I was a boy here.
He recognized every gate and post and tree. Soon they came to a school building.
The school is not quite deserted. Look in the window and you'll see a solitary child, crying, alone, neglected by his friends and family.
Scrooge beheld himself as a child, thin, cold, alone at Christmas time in the old school, with no one but the caretaker to help him.
I know the boy very well. Oh Lord, it is I.
Scrooge began to sob as he remembered what a sad child he had been, forgotten by his family, and always alone on Christmas Day.
There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door. I should have liked to have given him something.
The ghost then grasped his hand again, and then they traveled quickly to a large warehouse door.
Oh, it's Fezziwig's building. I had my first job here as an apprentice.
In they went, and at the sight of an old gentleman sitting behind a high desk, Scrooge cried out,
Why, it's old Fezziwig! Oh, bless his heart, it's Fezziwig, alive again!
Yo-ho there, Ebenezer! Dick!
Scrooge's former self, a young man again, came briskly into sight, accompanied by a fellow apprentice.
Yo-ho there! No more work tonight! Christmas Eve, Ebenezer! Christmas Eve!
Of course! The annual Christmas party! Oh, he threw such marvelous parties. Music, plenty of cake, and punch, and pie! It was glorious! He had the power to render us happy or unhappy. And the happiness he gave us is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
Scrooge could hardly believe his eyes, seeing himself as he was then. To himself, he thought,
I I should like to be able to say a word or two to my clerk just now.
As a jolly Christmas party began, Scrooge also caught sight of a young girl, Fezziwig's daughter, Belle.
Oh, Belle. As lovely as ever. Oh, she always took my breath away. That was before I took the job with Marley and became obsessed with myself and money and profit. Oh, Lord.
And then again they traveled away. Again Scrooge saw himself, older now, a man in the prime of his life with an eager, greedy, restless motion in his eyes and body.
He sat not alone, but with Belle, who now had tears trailing down her cheeks. He had loved this girl, and they were to be married.
Oh, Spirit, do not, I beg you, do not show me this momentous day!
Ebenezer, I fear a golden idol has replaced me, and money now engrosses you each and every day. Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor and content to be so. You have no place for me now. Oh, Ebenezer, we cannot marry. You do not love me as you once did. I release you, Ebenezer. May you be happy in the life you have chosen. I must go.
No! No, stay! Belle, don't go! I've missed you so much! Let us follow her!
Foolish man, she cannot hear you.
Oh, stupid young man! To have prized money over love, companionship, and family! Spirits, remove me from this place. I've seen enough.
I told you these were the shadows of the things that have been. They are what they are. Do not blame me. Look to yourself.
Remove me. I cannot bear it. Take me back here. Haunt me no longer.
The ghost vanished, and Scrooge found himself once again in his own bedroom. Sad and exhausted, he soon fell heavily back into a disturbed sleep.
Scrooge woke in the middle of a great snore, knowing the bell was about to strike 1. Trembling, he watched and waited till he heard the clock proclaim the hour.
He saw a blaze of ruddy light, which was more alarming than a dozen ghosts. He got up quickly and shuffled in his slippers to the adjoining room from whence the light seemed to shine.
Ebenezer Scrooge, good fellow! Come in and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me!
Heaped upon the floor to form a kind of throne were turkeys, geese, game, poultry, great joints of meat, long wreaths of sausages, mince pies.
There were also plum puddings, barrels of red-hot chestnuts, cherry-cheeked apples, juicy oranges, luscious pears, and seething bowls of punch.
The laughing jolly giant in his glorious costume was a sight to see.
Spirit, I am your student. Lead on. Conduct me where you will.
Touch my robe.
In an instant, gone was the fine food and punch. Gone was the room and warm fire. Instead, Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas present soon stood on the threshold of Bob Cratchit's door.
Ho, Ebenezer! Bless this house and all who dwell within. Take my hand.
They went through the door as if they were merely a mist. Inside, they found a merry bustle as the Cratchit family prepared for Christmas dinner.
Good gracious! Why, it's Bob Cratchit! This must be his house. Oh, this must be his family. I've never been here.
The Cratchit children set chairs for everyone. Bob had a young lad beside him. Sadly, the boy was small and thin and sickly. He could not walk very well and needed a crutch to get along.
And who is this little fellow?
Their son. They call him Tiny Tim.
And why is he walking with a crutch?
I fear that Tiny Tim is not well. Sadly, he has been sickly all his young life.
At last, the dishes were set on, and grace was said. Mrs. Cratchit brought on a small goose on a platter.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
A toast I give to you to Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
Founder of the feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
Dear, it's Christmas Day. On this day, we are meant to be grateful and generous to all people, even Mr. Scrooge.
I'll drink his health for your sake, not for his. Long life to him.
Yes, Father, to Mr. Scrooge then. God bless him.
Yes, a Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
Poor boy. He is sick and frail. Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved.
Oh, but no. No, that cannot be. Can nothing be done for the child?
If he'd like to die, he had better do it and decrease the surplus population. Hear me, Scrooge. If these chattels remain unaltered by the future, the child will die. Now, goodbye. I must be gone.
Somewhere, a bell struck 12. Scrooge looked about him for the third ghost and saw it not.
As the last stroke ceased to vibrate, Scrooge lifted his eyes, beheld a new, solemn phantom coming towards him. It was shrouded in a deep black garment which concealed its form and left nothing visible save one outstretched hand.
Am I in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come?
The spirit answered not, but pointed onward with its hand.
You are about to show me shadows of the things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that so, Spirit?
Although well used to ghostly company by this time, Scrooge feared the silent shape so much that his legs trembled beneath him, and he found that he could hardly stand or walk. Still, Scrooge pressed.
Lead on. Lead on. The night is waning fast, and it is precious time to me, I know. Lead on, Spirit. Show me the way.
Scrooge found himself outside the door of Bob Cratchit's house once again, silent, save for the gentle weeping inside.
Why do they weep, Spirit?
Spirit said nothing, but pointed to Bob Cratchit, coming up the street, head bowed down. Cratchit squared his shoulders as he opened the door, saying,
Sorry I'm late, my dear. I was at the churchyard visiting Tiny Tim's grave. Promised him I would visit him often.
Bob, my love, I miss him so much.
Oh, So do I, my dear.
That's enough, cruel spirit.
So do we all.
Is there no hope that Tiny Tim could survive and live?
Still silent, the spectre raised one ghastly arm and pointed. The next moment, the spirit and Scrooge stood in a graveyard. The spirit pointed one of the graves.
What is this place? Is this where Tiny Tim is buried?
The spirit, again, said nothing. Merely pointed to a headstone.
Before I draw nearer to that stone, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be, or shadows of things that may be only?
Still the ghost pointed downward to the grave by which it stood.
Scrooge crept towards it, trembling as he went. Following the finger, he read upon the stone of a neglected grave.
B E N E Z E R Scrooge! Oh no, spirit! No, that cannot be!
The ghost of Christmas yet to be did not stir, did not move, the finger still pointing.
Spirit, hear me! I am not the man I was. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Good Spirit, show me that I may yet change these shadows you have shown me by an altered life.
The spirit did not move.
I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me I may sponge away the writing on this stone!
Holding up his hands in one last prayer, he saw an alteration in the phantom's hood and dress. It shrunk, collapsed, and dwindled down into a bedpost.
I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three will live within me. Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, oh Jacob, on my knees. Well, I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as giddy as a schoolboy.
Dancing and running to the window, he opened it, put out his head, and felt the clear, bright, crisp, cool air.
Golden sunlight, heavenly sky, sweet, fresh air, merry bells. Oh, glorious, glorious! Below in the street, carolers sang.
What a fitting song of kindness and charity. Oh, hello there! You, boy! What's today?
Where have you been? Why, it's Christmas Day.
Oh, saints be praised! I haven't missed it! The spirits have done it all in one night. Well, of course they can. They can do anything they like. Merry Christmas, young sir!
And a Merry Christmas to you, sir.
My fine fellow, tell me if they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging up at the store down the street. Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
What? You mean the one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. It's a pleasure talking to him. Yes, my buck!
I've seen it. It's hanging there now, sir.
Well, please go and buy it and tell them to bring it here. Here's the money.
Yes, Mr. Scrooge. What's gotten into him? It must be a miracle.
I'll send it to Bob Cratchit's. He shall know who sent it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. Plenty of food for them all.
Scrooge dressed himself all in his best and went at last out into the streets. Scrooge regarded and greeted everyone with a delighted smile.
What a day! Yes, he went to his nephew's party. They were so astonished. He went to church, walked around the town, watched the people, petted children on the head, talked with beggars and gave them coins. He found that everything could yield him pleasure and joy.
Next day, Scrooge was early at the office. He was waiting when Bob Cratchit entered. He was late.
Hello, Mr. Cratchit. What do you mean by coming in here at this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday.
Now, I'll tell you what, my friend. I am not going to stand this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, I am going to raise your salary.
What, sir? Raise my salary, sir? Are you feeling well, Mr. Scrooge?
Better than ever in my whole life! A Merry Christmas, Bob. And a merrier Christmas, my good fellow, than I've given you for many a year.
And Merry Christmas to you too, sir. Are you the one that sent the turkey?
Yes! And I am pleased to say that I did. And not only do I intend to raise your salary, Bob Cratchit, but I intend to endeavor to assist your struggling family and provide your son, Tiny Tim, with the finest medical care and education that can be found. Now, make up the fires. Buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
My gracious! How wondrous! But how do you know about my son, sir?
Oh, well, you never mind about that right now. I have quite a tale to tell, such as you would never believe. We're going to be busy. We will discuss all this very afternoon, Bob, over a cup of Christmas punch. But for now, let's see what we can do immediately for the people who rent my apartments and those on our streets who live in poverty, our sick, and in our prisons.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he became the second father.
He became as good a friend, as good a master, as good a man as the good old city of London had ever seen.
And it was always said of him from that great night forward that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. Let us, too, all remember our wondrous connections to each other and to our beautiful planet. May that be truly said of all of us, today and forever.
And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
Bless us, everyone.
God bless us, everyone.